Good afternoon. I'm just hopping on here a few minutes early to be sure that I am straight, and I think that I am pretty straight. Maybe just a tad off. And you can almost see all of my glass mat. You can especially see all the way to the bottom today because I'm probably going to be, I didn't want to work off camera by accident if I got too low. So now I know if I stay on the mat, you can see me. If you're watching, if you could comment in the comments, that would be great. I always love to know that someone's tuning in and how the weather is where they're at. I live in St. Robert, Missouri, which is south central Missouri, down by I'm right by Fort Leonard Wood and like an hour and a half from Branson. So today we're having a lovely day. It's a little breezy. It's breezy here most days, but the sun is shining and we have no rain in the forecast for today, so we are happy. I was on Facebook earlier this morning and I saw that Missouri for 2025 has had the most tornadoes, 117 so far. And I can't remember what state was right below us, but it was at 116. Because it has been an incredible volatile spring and early, well, I guess it's not summer yet till June. Till June, then it'll be summer, but we have had some really loud and lots of lightning thunderstorms. Okay, my laptop shows 2 o'clock, so I am Debbie Broughton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from St. Robert, Missouri. Thank you so much for joining me in Nana's Stamping Room today, where we're going to try to put together not this whole bouquet of flowers because that would just take incredibly too long, but and every flower is basically the same way. Once you do one, you do the same to the others, just with different colors and different insides and everything. So there are 6 different flowers. This is using our 2025 to 2027 in colors. So we have Cloud Cover, Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Strawberry Slush. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 5th one is Secret Sea, which is a very dark navy, almost black. And that's what these insides are over here. 3 of the flowers will have black insides. 3 of the flowers will have yellow. But you can mix and match. These are your flowers to make any way you like. So I've watched a few videos on some different techniques on how to put them together. Although they all are the same, you can have just different little hints. So that's what I'm going to try to show you. So I'm going to make at least 3 of the flowers today, and we will see. I don't know how long my phone battery is going to last. It's been not lasting as long as it used to because, it's time for me to get a new phone. But we will see. At least I want to show you, because I have 3 different hints about kind of putting them together. And then these are the leaves we get. We have this long leaf. We have something that reminds me of oak leaves. And then we have these maybe are more like lily leaves or something. So that is what we have to work with. I went ahead and punched everything out, and I put it, to store it, I put it all back in the box, kind of together. Let me show you. See, I kind of put it all together. Now, the reason I have these, this is how you punch out and you get the insides of the flowers, but these work too, so instead of using a single piece, I used double. One that was the punch out and one that was left over from the punch out. So see, it would be like this is how you would have it when you punched it out. And so that gives me one long one and two short ones in each one that I punched out. So, and actually there's another short one over here. So that's plenty so that you can double the inside. And that's my first tint because it just gives it a much fuller look to do both of them. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's see what, these are the directions that come with it. So there's one mistake I found on the directions. And believe me, I have glue gun hair all over, or strings. On this Timid Tiger flower, it shows only using 2. But I had enough to do 3 for 3 flowers, and then I had 2 left over. Well, actually, I only have 1 left over because when I made the my sample of the Timid Tiger one, I didn't realize that I had enough to use 3 until I started counting after it. So now I'm going to do 3 today, which gave me 1 extra already, and then I had 1 extra. So I might be able to make another 2-layer petal card with that, depending on how many beads I have left and how many of these little, I'm not sure what they are. They kind of look like starburst. So we're going to get started here, and see it even has a thing here how to do the bead at the top and how you can roll it around your bead. That's going to make your middle. And this kind of shows you how you can curl the petals and curl these downward. And then it shows a completed flower. Here's the leaves, although it doesn't show the oak leaf one. It does show the other 2, and it's just the same for the oak leaf ones. So if you get this kit, you can watch this video, but then you always have your directions to kind of go by. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of take some of this off my mat so that I don't get glue on everything, because you never know with all the strings on the glue gun, how they go everywhere. So I'm just going to kind of move these off the mat till I get to them. I just wanted to show you how many there were. And it also comes with the stems. So here are the stems. We can lay these over here because even if we get some glue in there, it's not going to matter. Okay, so let's start with this yellow one. So this yellow one here on the direction states we need 3 yellow petals for each one, and we're going to make 3 of them. So altogether we have 9. We need 3 of the starburst, and they are the bigger starburst. We need the Secret C beads and the Secret C zigzag paper. That's what I'm going to call it. So that's what we have here. Actually, I have 2 of the Secret C zigzag paper so I can have a bigger middle. I like it. It's more full. Here's how the beads come. So I need a not Night of Navy, a blue Secret C bead, and I will need a stem, which is right here. And then I find it easier to use these wire benders. I'm pretty sure these are wire benders. I don't know. I found them in my husband's toolbox. They might be some kind of a plier, but they work good at bending because you want to kind of make a loop like this. You want to have it long enough so that you can twist it around at the end. And we're going to take our bead and we're going to slip it on here. I'm hoping this works out, because you know how sometimes I do things off camera and they work out perfect, and then I try to do them on camera and I don't have as much luck. So what I do to hold my bead in place is I add a little bit of hot glue on both ends of it, just to kind of fill up that hole with glue. Then I know for sure it's going to stay up there. And then I can take my pliers, or I could do this with my fingers, which I think I'm going to do it with my fingers. You just take this piece and kind of wrap it around the wire. Now when you get finished wrapping it around the wire, you want it to be, see how this is really close together, because it has to, this hole has to fit over it. And if you have this too far away or not close enough, you have a hard time getting your flower over that wire. All right. So here's hint number one. Well, actually number two, about the middle. The first one was that I used the extra from the cutout, so I have double. Some people take it and they roll it like this and roll it up, but I found that that was not, I didn't do a very good job when I tried that. So instead I put some hot glue here on this end, and I start the stain. I'm going to call it a stamen, but I don't think it is. The middle of the flower. Now, on my first one, I started it too low, like I try to cover this wire here, but I don't have to, because the petals are going to cover that. And then my middle did not stick up and fluff out as pretty as when I make all the little spikes be above the bead. So, next I'm going to put another dot right here. And then I'm going to wrap this around. And I just do it like this. You can lay it down on the glass mat and do it that way. I just did not have good luck when I tried that. So this is what I came up with instead. So I can lay this here, and then I can put another dot here. Another dot of glue. And I'm going to twirl it. Then I'm going to put another dot. Maybe just every 3 or 4 spikes I put a dot. I just want to be sure that it holds really well. And I try to get rid of my strings as I'm going. Otherwise I end up with strings like little spider webs all over my flower. And then I get them stuck to my nails, and we just have a fun time with them. Okay. So this one, I'm just going to put one down here at the end. Kind of 2 dots at the end here. One there. And one there. I read about how to try to get less strings with my glue gun, but I still have not accomplished that. It could be my glue sticks are kind of old, and that might be one of my problems. But you just have to pull them off. So again, now we're going to put another one on, because see how that looks nice, but wait till you see how much nicer it looks when you get a double row on there. And you might as well use them, because you have nothing else to do with them. So we're going to go again, making sure that we get the end of this stuck there on that dot. We're going to turn it. We're going to put another dot. You just have to be careful that you don't burn your fingers, because hot glue can get very hot and very stringy. . 。 was doing this yesterday and I had my phone laying here on the desk next to me. I accidentally laid the hot glue gun by it, so now I have some hot glue on my phone case, which it doesn't want to pick off as easy as it usually does. So here we go again with another dot. I'm just going to put one at the end anyway, also, as long as we're here. This one thing I read about that glue gun is if I twist my wrist or something when I'm taking it away, that should help with the strings. So we shall see. Okay, so now we have the middle all finished. And we're going to set this aside to dry. And we're going to take our yellow petals. Now, since I didn't start doing this tip with my other flowers, I'm not going to start now just because then my flowers will be different. But if you wanted to, you could take your blending brushes with a little bit of Darling Duckling on there and kind of blend a little bit of ink on the edges or in the middle if you want. That would be a different way to kind of decorate them some more. But since I didn't start with that, I'm thinking I don't really want, except for maybe I could just do it here. Let me get my Darling Duckling in. I'm just going to put a little bit in the middle. Just a little bit in the middle of the first one. As you can see, I've not used my Darling Duckling ink yet. So I need to open it. And we do not have an ink pad a big ink pad for the cloud cover. But what you could do is buy one of our spots and the re-inker and ink up a spot with it. Something about the foam on the regular stamp sets is messing with the formula for the cloud cover, so it doesn't give a consistent stamp, and we like to have all our colors be consistent. So to avoid that, you can buy a Stampin' Spot and the re-inker, and it won't mix with the kind of pad that's on a Stampin' Spot. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit of this Darling Duckling, and I'm just going to kind of put it in the middle here of just this very first layer. Just to see if that kind of gives it a little bit more depth or texture. We shall see. It's really kind of hard to see. Perhaps I should have used a different, but I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm not even sure if you could tell on the camera that it's just a shade darker there in the middle. But like I said, you could do the outsides, and you could do them as light or as dark as you like. Now I'm going to wipe up this Darling Duckling off my glass so that I don't get ink on everything. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our middle of our flower and our stem here. We're going to add some glue around to hold this first set of petals. And this is the one we want because that's the one we added some ink to. And the only thing you have to be careful about is that spot where the two wires are together. You got to get it over that, and then you kind of want to press it up to the middle of your flower. get it quite up there. Now my glue is probably dried. I'm going to add a little bit more glue in here. Okay. I have a whole bunch of spider webs right there. So I have my first one up here now. And I'm going to take my second one. And I kind of, we kind of want to turn it so that the leaves aren't right in front of each other. So we want to kind of fill in the empty spots. So let me add some glue here. You could use the mono adhesive glue, but you'd have to wait in between steps for that to dry, I think. And that means it would take you much longer to make these. So, see how I accidentally bent that leaf or petal coming up. So now I got those pretty good. Now I'm going to put on my third layer. Oh, I bet that you have to be very careful. These bend so easily because it's just such thin tissue paper. But I'll show you how to fix that. So now I think I have an empty spot over here and an empty spot there. I'm going to try to get it around that and move this around so that I don't have such an empty spot there. So you kind of just have to play with them, to get them how you'd like them. Be very careful because they are very delicate that you don't tear them. So I think I just need to move, if I can, move this one over a little bit more. This might be the second hardest part after rolling the middle, is to get them so that there's no empty spots. Or maybe it's just difficult for me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, some people do this now. So this is my first hint. So you're going to take this green starburst, and I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm just going to kind of curl them a little bit with my bone folder. You can curl 2 at a time. Okay, and then it's going to go on like this. So this is another layer of glue. And then this upside down starburst. You want to be really careful when you use your bone folder to curl these. We're going to curl the petals next because it's such thin tissue paper, it tears very easily. I have tore a couple of petals off and I kind of just glued them back in there. And you can't really tell when you look at my finished flowers. So we just want to push this up there. So that's the back. Now we're going to take our bone folder and we're going to do some curling. So I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to very gently curl it. Now you can either curl them inward or outward, however you'd like to curl them. I kind of just curl them a little bit here and there, trying to get the look of a flower. And you could, this one I haven't done yet, you can do as much or as little of the curling as you want. You can curl them all at the same time. Try to get 2 or 3 at the same time. But here is our darling duckling flower. And another, so that's one hint. You could do your curling of your petals after you get it onto the wire. Or you could do them before you put them on the wire. So that's what we're going to try with our next flower. And then the very last step is to take your fingers and spread out this middle a little. You can also use your bone folder, but I like using my fingers better. And you kind of just fluff them down. And you'll be able to see the bead in the middle, but that's okay. So there we go. One darling duck. And then, I know you're not going to be able to see this very well, but I don't have another camera so I can take a different kind of a shot. But I have a vase sitting here, and that's how I keep them, because at first I was just laying them down on my desk, but they're so fragile that some of the petals were getting bent from just laying on the table. So now I'm trying to stick them in this until I can get a better. I know that's really far away. You can't, or way too close. So I'm just sticking them in like this to keep them from laying down and squishing their petals. Okay. So next, let's make a daisy. So for our daisy, we're going to need 3 sets of petals, a small starburst, and a yellow middle, and a yellow bead. I have another yellow laying over here. Another small one. Okay. So same idea as last time. We're going to take our stem wire. We're going to fold it down. We're going to take our bead and slip it up through there. Now, on the directions, it shows that you can wrap this around enough to hold that bead in place, but I could never really get it tight enough not to move. So that's why it still wants to move. So that's why I put the dab of glue in each side. Okay, so now we're going to start wrapping our middle of the flower around. We're going to get rid of some spider webs here. Again, if you're watching, if you give me a little shout out or something and let me know if you've bought this kit yet or if you're thinking about buying this kit. I'm going to put another dot right here. I've had this glue gun forever. I can't even tell you how many years I've had the glue gun. I've misplaced it and then refound it. So it's done a lot of projects. I could maybe go ahead and put more dots of glue, but I'm afraid that it might dry before I got there. And then I would just have a hard lump. And like I said, you could lay it down and roll it like it shows in the directions. I just did not have good luck with that. When I tried that, I kind of got a mess. So I have changed to this method. Let me clean this up a little bit because I got two glue straggles there. Okay. So I'm going to pick off. Hopefully, baby, your glue will not do that for you. I always have that problem with the glue gun, though. So I'm not sure if that's just how I use them, or if they just automatically do that. Okay, so we're going to kind of wrap this around. Again, we're going to put a dot right about here. And we're leaving the spikes above the beads so that we can have a nice full middle. Now we can put 2 here. These shorter ones don't take as long as the long ones. Once you start doing these, you get the hang of it and they go much faster. Okay, now we have the middle fixed. Can you see our little bead in the middle? We have our stem. So now we're going to see what happens if we curl our flowers, our petals ahead of time before we put them on to the stem. So I like doing it backwards like this, and then I can always turn it over. We're going to make this be the inner one, so we kind of want them really to be curled up there to go around the middle. And like I said, you just don't want to pull too hard. And that's why I kind of put my thumb and finger down here, just to give it a little bit more strength, because it tears very easy. Okay, we think that that might be enough. I think maybe I want to do it just a little bit more. So I'm going to start down a little bit lower this time, just so that they get up close to the middle. But you could do yours however you like them on all these flowers. There's so many different ways, you know, fold some up, some down. That's all your personal preference. So now I kind of like those better for the first layer. So I'm going to put some glue on here. And I'm going to get my middle here and put it on. Now some people said it was much easier to curl them before than after. But that is just your personal preference. Try one way, try one the other way, and see what you like. You have 23 flowers, so you have a lot of different ones you can Now look, I got a petal stuck underneath the yellow. Okay, I got it. I thought I was going to tear it trying to get it out. So I'm going to push this up, and then I'm going to kind of just take my petals and arrange them the way I like them. So they are a little bit close on this one, but they'll look better after I add the next layers. So this is going to be my second layer, and I don't want to have them curled as tightly as the first layer. So I want them further out from the middle. And again, this is just what I thought about when I was doing petals. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do them. So now I'm going to get my glue again and kind of go around the stem. Get my petals. Well, I'm going to get the strings off later because I need to get this on before the glue dries. And then I can busy pick off my spider webs, like I like to call them. That's what they remind me of, little spider webs all over. They're definitely good for when you want to do something for Halloween. So I'm just going to kind of turn this a little bit. Again, I got one of the petals, because I wasn't watching, glued to that one. I had to very carefully try to take it off. Okay, we got it. So, here we go with our second set of petals. I need to push them up just a little bit more. Okay. Now on this third set, I think I'm going to fold them out the other way. And let's just see how that looks. But see how everyone's basically the same, just depends on when you want to curl your petals. And I did not get this one curled. So this one I'm going to put on this way because they're kind of curled down. They're the older petals, and so they are curled down a little. That's what I'm going to go with. And I might not like them that way. I gotta get them up over that wire. Oh, this time I did not get any stuck in the glue. I have to make that center a little bit more straight. But flowers are not perfect even out in nature, so if you have a little bit of off-centered or one petal is folded in too close to the middle, that's just kind of how it is in nature too. They're not always all perfectly symmetrical, although most times they're probably pretty close. Okay, so there we go with that flower. I still think it needs to, there. Now we're going to take our little starburst here and curl them. We're going to add a little glue on the back here. We're going to slide this on with the folds coming down. Up and around, and then over this spot where the two wires come together. And push it all the way up there to the top of the, or I guess to the bottom of the white petals. So that you get them in that glue there. So that's what it kind of looks like from the back. This is what it looks like from the front. So, one more tip on how to put the petals together. And we'll do it with this pink one. Okay, this pink one, the big pink one, is 2 petals, yellow, yellow, big starburst. So, we have 2 petals here. I know it doesn't look like it, but we do. You have to be very careful because sometimes they like to stick together and then you start working with them. Although these are very well stuck together today, aren't they? Sometimes if you start to curl them, they'll come apart. Maybe this is only one. Maybe I counted wrong. Okay, we'll say I counted wrong and I'll get another one. Oh no, here it is on the floor. was busy making flowers, I must have knocked it down. So for these, it shows two long yellow ones. So one came that I punched out or poked out, and then this is the like negative of that. Okay, so we have two for this flower. So here's another hint what you can do with the leaves. I'm going to fold them first, or curl them first. So there's one. And then I'm going to curl this one just like that one. And this is actually my preferred way to do it, but I tried this because I didn't see anybody else doing this, but I have a hard time sometimes lining it up when it gets up to the top. So I'm going to show you what I did, and it worked. Hopefully it'll work a second time so I can show you. So we got to get our bead ready. It's a yellow bead. Excuse my dog. They are putting a new roof on 2 houses down, and so when he hears the hammering and stuff, he's just for sure it's somebody talking to him or trying to get his attention, so he has to bark. Hey Herbie, I think that they could do the roof all by themselves. They don't need any instructions. So you might as well just go lay back down. I didn't get this one quite at the top of the loop. There we go. So he just needs to come in and bark at them every once in a while, even though they can't even hear him probably. Okay, so there, I have my wire. I'm going to try to press it maybe a little bit closer up here because those holes are so small. If I can get them closer together, it'll be easier to get them even closer to the middle. But I'm not sure I can. It keeps wanting to turn whenever I do this, and I can't push them together anymore. So we'll just have to go with what we have. Then we're going to start rolling this like we did with the other two. See what I mean by how they're kind of the same, just different colors. And we want to get our spikes so that they're high enough to make a pretty middle. Then we want to roll some. Put a dot of glue. Roll some more. Put another dot of glue. These would just make such a pretty gift. Like maybe if someone was in the hospital or someone was ill at home, you could bring them a bouquet of flowers that will last forever. For a birthday. For thinking of you, really for anything. Flowers are nice on any occasion. Sometimes just because. My husband used to send me just because flowers sometimes. And you would be very surprised. I would be very surprised when they came to the door. And that's what the note would say, just because. I'm just trying to get some of those strings off my fingers. I'm going to have to stop here after this roll and clean my fingers a little because I'm getting too much of it stuck to the flower part. I know this is kind of boring probably watching because this is the third time we've done the same thing, but I wanted to show you what different method I used for the petals, and I can't do that till I get the middle rolled up. I probably could have rolled up some middles ahead of time. I didn't think about that. So here we go again, rolling our next long piece. One more here. We're almost done. I just like to have it glued every once in a while so it doesn't all of a sudden pop off. It'd be kind of hard to fix the middle once you got all the petals on and everything. Sometimes I like watching different videos because some people just have some different little hints, and you can find out some great hints by watching different videos of the same project. What it's like these flowers or something. The same thing like when we had the watercoloring kit. It was fun to watch. Okay, so this is what I decided. This is my tip for me. I didn't see anybody else do this, but I have a hard time getting them lined up when I get up to the top of that stem. So I put just a little bit of mono adhesive glue here on the bottom one. And then I can put this one on, line up the holes, but for sure line it up so that I don't have any spaces between my petals, because now it's all one piece. I don't know if you can see what I mean, but now I just have to put it up there once. I don't have to try to line them up when I get them up there and tear a petal off or get a petal stuck underneath. So now I'm going to carefully take this all the way to the top. Get it over where the wires meet. Having just a little bit of trouble this time, only because I've already put my glue on there and it's drying fast. Okay, so I got that, and now I want to just kind of push it up here to the middle. Now, if I wanted to, after I got it up here, I could curl some more. Like this one looks pretty curled in, so we're going to try to take a little bit of that curl out. We want this to be a wide open flower. So we're going to kind of take it like this. But see how then I don't have any spaces, which I get more spaces when I try to get them up there one by one. Here's our large starburst. Again, we're going to curl these downward. We're going to add a little bit of glue. And we're going to add our starburst to the back of the flower. I'm so glad I remembered my glasses for this class because I could never do this without my reading glasses. You know, I try not to have to use my reading glasses, but then the other day Saturday I went out with my 3 brothers and their wives, and I got my bill from the restaurant, and I forgot my reading glasses. It took me a while to figure out how much it said was there, so I knew how much to tip. So I have to remember to bring them with me now. I have a pair in every room in my house. Okay, so this is a very wide open pink flower. My other pink flower here was a little bit more curled up. I'm going to have to fix these because these were laying on my desk, but like I said, before I got the vase in here. So they kind of lost their curls and stuff on whatever side they were laying on. As long as you're careful, you can pretty much get them to do what you like. So they're almost the same, just this one's a little wider because all its blooms are completely out, and this one has some blooms that are more curled in. So now let's go to the leaves, because now I think you got the hang of the flowers. The 3 different things. You can put them on and then curl them before you put them on, or glue them together, curl them, and then put them on. So those are the 3 different ways you could put the petals onto the stem. So now let's talk about the leaves. So we have this leaf. We have this leaf that I think looks like an oak leaf. And we have this leaf. So if you might not be able to see, but there are scored lines. So you can kind of take your bone folder here and lay it on the score line and try to fold up the edges a little. You could go around to them like this. And you could do the same thing, you know, to this petal. You could do the, whoops. Do all 3 of those, and then do all 3 of these oak leaves. I just like to use my bone folder because it gives me something that goes down the score line to give me a little bit of strength. Or, you know, because see, I'm almost tearing that leaf off trying to do it. Although these both are more like thin cardstock than tissue paper. And this is crepe paper like the middle. So this one we're going to just put a line of glue right down the middle. Like that. We're going to take one of our stems and lay it here right down the middle. You want to get this right on the glue. And then I'm going to use my bone folder in case it's hot. I'm just going to really be sure I press it down in there. And I know I'm going to get some glue on the bone folder, but I could pick that off. Okay, so now we have to let this dry. But here's one that I let dry. And now notice how I could bend it different ways. You know, I can bend this down and then up. I can bend it up a little bit more. So they're fun to play with too. And you would do the same thing with these 2. Add your stem right down the middle, and then here's one. So I can only really bend this leaf up and down because it has the wire behind it, but I can curl that one. These I folded along, not all the way folded, but halfway folded these on their score lines. So you can put them in like that, or they look pretty real. And then here's the last one, the oak leaf. Again, because this one has a wire. And I guess if you wanted to, you could put wires on these 2 also so that you could bend them more. I didn't think about that, but, you know, it really helps you get them not just to be flat. And these I folded just a little on the score line to give them some height. Well, thank you very much for watching my video, and I'm going to work on the rest of my 23 flowers. I think I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of my 23 flowers done, so I still have a ways to go. There's 8 white daisies, and then 3 of each of the other ones. But here's an idea of what to do with your leaves. I hope you have a good afternoon. Now this did kind of come off here when I was bending it that different way. But you're not really going to see them when they're in the vase, so you won't be able to tell that the wire came off, but it helps it to bend like that. Okay. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a great afternoon. And you should purchase this paper bouquet and make someone a happy vase of flowers to sit in their house. Thank you. Bye.